Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show with your hosts, Rusty Buckets and Uncle Buck. Now, let's get to the show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Two Buck Sports Show. I am your co-host, Uncle Buck. In the last episode of Rusty's Vacation, I am honored to be joined to my left by Mr. Jared Davidson from Martin, Tennessee. How you doing, big guy?
Man, I am doing pretty good, all things considered. Tonight was Tuesday was the last day of the current job I'm at, and it wasn't anything bad. Ended on good terms, but start a new one on Monday, which I'm very excited to start, which will be a big step for myself. Nervous a little bit about it, but we're good. We're doing pretty good, all things considered, my man.
Well, that's good. Hey, I always like new horizons, especially when you get like a nice little week break here where you guess you're going to do nothing but, lounge out on the couch, eat some bonbons with your lady. That sounds like a pretty good
Well, I will definitely probably hit the golf course in the next 2 days to avoid sitting in.
Buddy, have you been outside?
Brother, it snowed here 2 days ago, but it's supposed to be almost 70 tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. It is going to get back up there. What we say in Mississippi, and I'm sure it applies to southern Tennessee, and even maybe middle Tennessee.
Yeah, we're northern. We're northwest.
Okay, well, if you don't like the weather, just wait till tomorrow. That's what we say here in North Mississippi. And it was balmy, 20 degrees the last 2 mornings. And it gets up to about 50 in the afternoons, and it's gonna be golfing weather come the weekend. So I just bear with everybody for a little bit. Just bear with the weatherman. Nobody knows what really is going on here, but we still get mad at him if he's wrong. So it's a lose-lose job to be a weatherman. But we are recording this, as Jared alluded to. We were recording this on Tuesday night. The Memphis Grizzlies just lost to the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. I believe that final score was 133 to 120.
Yep.
Somewhere in that ballpark. And it was a game of runs. This was not a competitive game for most of the game. And we're going to get right into it. We're also going to preview the game that's happening tonight against the Boston Celtics, as well as talk some college football playoff rankings that were just released by the committee, as well as the bracket that corresponds with these rankings. We're going to get all of it today on the Two Buck Sports Show. And so I guess we'll start with the low-hanging fruit here. We'll start with the easy topic, what everybody is probably not as fresh on their minds, but it's definitely the thing that's most forefront in our mind right now is the Grizzlies go to Madison Square Garden, and they lose by 13, a game in which was really competitive, really exciting for about a quarter and a half a quarter, rather. And then the Knicks go on a 24-4 run into the half and increase it all the way up to 29 in the third quarter, only for the Grizzlies to make a run of their own in the fourth to cut it to 10, but fall short. And so, just off the top rope, first thoughts, what's sticking with you here immediately after the game?
It's the transition game. And, I've kind of been, hey, shout out to the stubby. But it's the transition game. And, it was alluded to for the first time that I heard in the Houston game, and I've kind of watched it a little bit more intently as the season has gone on. The effort level for 3 quarters, in my opinion, was there. The second where they went on that big run kind of lacked a little bit, but overall, I think the effort was there. 22 turnovers committed by the Grizzlies tonight. Lost the points off of turnovers battle by 22, 33 to 11, and we lost by 13. We weren't getting anything in transition. You look at fast break points. We had 14 tonight, but just in general, points off of turnovers and capitalizing on mistakes and then forcing those mistakes as well. That was the thorn in Memphis' side tonight.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It was a game that was lost in the turnover margin. That's when it went so crazy. At half, the Grizzlies were down 23, and at the half, Ja Morant had 7 turnovers. Listen, I've been one to bag on Ja in the past for effort level. I thought effort level for Ja was really good. It's one thing that I talked about with Kenny when we previewed this game, is that if there's one way to get the vibes right, it's just to walk into Madison Square Garden, the mecca of NBA basketball. And I felt like the vibes were right. We got off to a good start, but then once again, and this spans now 2 years and 2 coaches, is that once the vibes go south, it's really hard to regenerate vibes.
Yeah.
And they were just unable to stop the bleeding there in the back half of the first quarter all the way through halftime, even a few minutes into the third quarter, as the Knicks get up by 29 at one point.
Yeah, and it was 30 to 30. And as you mentioned, we were down by, it was a 24-4 run, 30 to 30, and then we got outscored 47 to 24 until halftime. They put up 77 on us, and we're on pace to put up 154 points in the game at one point.
Yeah.
Drew, what I did like, though, the second half, yes, we lost the third quarter by 2, 39 to 37, but the defense stepped up a little bit in the fourth, 27 to 19, started to go on that run, got it to within 10 at one point, couldn't break it into single digits, but we got it to within 10, and we were starting to come back, and it was one of those games where it was just like, it was one of those where you didn't want to get close.
Yeah,
as
just
you knew
don't
it was
play
going to
with
end.
me.
Yeah, don't play with my emotions this late at night. But I mean, I do like the effort. We've seen the last 2 games, we've had good first halves. The offense tonight, for the first time in a loss, I'm not worried about it. The first time, I'm not. You put up 120, but you lose, and it was on the defense and the turnovers.
Yeah, it seems like to me that this is a recurring theme, and you don't want to be on the end of that the Grizzlies are on right now, in which these games are becoming more respectable late because the other teams just take their foot off the gas.
Yeah.
And the Grizzlies' effort level did stay, because when the Knicks did turn the ball over and kind of get a little lackadaisical in the fourth quarter, the Grizzlies were there and ready to pounce. But the problem is just the meat part of this sandwich was just so spoiled. It was spoiled meat on this sandwich. It was just a potted meat and Spam sandwich, to shout out Wayno. Just a Spam sandwich that was the second and third quarters for the Grizzlies. And I got to a pretty dark spot about halfway through as the Knicks were making this run. I just looked at my wife, and we were sitting there watching, and I was just like, I don't like this team. I don't like watching this team. I don't find a lot of joy right now out of watching it. And I think that's the part that sucks so much. It was because 3 years ago, when this era of Grizzlies were at the peak of power, it was only joy. Like, you were winning, but you weren't just winning fundamentally. You were winning with flair, with flash. And it was fun. It was sexy. It was viral. Like, everything about it's like, I guess, describe a adult club, and that's what I just described the 2023 Grizzlies is viral and sexy, So there's a spot on the side of Highway 45 there in West Point that, that specializes in virals and sexy. But that's what the Grizzlies were, and now they're just so bland. It speaks to just like the trajectory almost, and it's so, I don't understand how you harvest vibes. Like the vibe tree has gone dead, and we've relied on it for way too long. I don't know what to do. I don't know how you the adage is winning changes everything, but like, we're not really sniffing winning against good teams and teams that we care about wins. The only win we've gotten in the last 3 weeks is against Dallas, and Dallas's biggest win of the season is firing Nico Harrison today. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. Like, no, you're not wrong. We are. Oh, I should not have pulled up the overall schedule. This is ugly. We are.
It's going to get worse before it gets better.
We're 1-6 in our last 7.
Yeah, we're 1-6 in our last 7, and we're about to play a back-to-back in Boston, where we don't have a lot of success. But this Boston team has been better than what we thought it was going to be so far.
It was currently down by 1.
Then you go to Cleveland, and then San Antonio at home, or at San Antonio, which is a old Southwestern Division rival And it's just another instance in which a team that was beneath us has surpassed us with a superstar that has surpassed our superstar, as we're just continually stuck in the mud. It's just frustrating, and maybe it's a bad idea to record a show immediately after a loss again, but like that's just where I'm at now.
And I want to ask you this because I've seen the conversation on Twitter a lot, especially in the midst of this 1-for-6 or 1-for-7 stretch that we're in. Zach Kleiman and Chris Wallace, there's been a lot of comparisons. Zach Kleiman has overall been solid in drafts if you exclude the 2023 draft or the 2022, whichever one he brought in.
I have no qualms with the Zach Kleiman draft.
No, me either. But then you have Chris Wallace, excluding Rudy Gay, who brought in the really good veterans to help fit this team, especially around more trade deadlines and whatnot. And I wish we could couple the drafting of Zach Kleiman with the Chris Wallace of able to bring in vets at good times.
Yeah, I don't.
Part of that may
comparison.
be. I don't like the comparison. Part of that may be revisionist history on a lot of the part. I like Zach Kleiman better overall, but because Chris Wallace had major flaws. But I've just seen that conversation a lot over the past few days.
I've gone through this so many times when it comes to how is it more realistic to build a competitor at the Memphis Grizzlies, the smallest market in the NBA, and you have to do it through the draft. And the draft is not a perfect science. Yes, you missed on Roddy. Yes, you missed on Zaire, but Laravia is a rotation player in the NBA. And you hit huge with the 30th pick in the draft twice with Bane and with Santi Aldama. You hit with Brandon Clark in the mid-20s, and then you hit with Jaren and Ja, which it was easier to hit because they were in the top 4 picks of the draft, both of them. And then you've hit multiple times on the second round. I don't have to. I am a Kleiman stan when it comes to players. I don't like what he's done when he's meddled. If he loses his job as a general manager, and I'm not taking that off the table because this is equally as important, is what you've done to support the stars. He's just done an absolutely terrible job. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody thinks. I may be on the island, but I imagine more people will join this island the longer we stay and the longer the season goes the way it's currently going. Yeah, Taylor Jenkins would have this team in the playoffs. They would be better. They just would. If you don't just absolutely cut his feet out from under him and that result in losing the locker room and your star player last year, then you're not in this situation. And Tomas Isolo had really no business. You should have interviewed. And this isn't a Tomas problem, but this is a crater that has started as a snowball, and it is allowed to continue rolling downhill. And I don't know a way that you turn the tide here.
Yeah, I don't know either right now. I mean, you're staring down the barrel of what should have been a more favorable part of the schedule, especially if you're much more competitive tonight. But you have Boston tomorrow night, second night of a back-to-back. You have to make that short trip, but it is a travel day, or travel overnight. Then you go to Cleveland, you go to San Antonio, then you're back home for Dallas and Sacramento. If those two aren't must-wins at this point of the season, those are.
I think best case scenario, or not best case scenario, most likely scenario is that you find a way to go 1-3 in this 4-game road trip. Yeah. And that puts you at 5-11? Is that right?
Let's see. We lost tonight, so that's 5-8. Yeah, or no, we lost tonight, so that's 4-8. It would be 5-11. 5-10.
5-10. Okay. Yeah, then you would absolutely have to win the 2-game homestand between Dallas and Sacramento. And those are games, despite how bad the season's going, you will be favored in. Yes. Sacramento's already talking about blowing it up, trying to get what you can for Levine and DeRozan and those old guys that they keep stacking up in Sacramento. Yeah. But that's beside the fact. I don't know how we got to this point, other than it just seemed like the thing that first kicked the first rock down this hill that caused this avalanche, caused this mudslide, was just the backdoor dealings, the undercutting of what was a stable situation.
Had his problems, yes. I will say, I was in the camp of we should have fired Taylor Jenkins earlier, in my opinion, because I mean there were some results. I did like Taylor Jenkins. I said this a few weeks ago. It felt like TJ was in the style of a transitional coach. Not like I said that in a way of because he came in after Bickerstaff, right? Yeah, he came in after JB, and I felt like was trying to get us back to that level, and then we should have fired him and gone through a full coaching search and not just bank on Ti. But that's my qualm with that whole situation. I don't want to sit and harp on it for so long.
I've said it up 1,000 times, and I stick with this through all sports. Mm-hmm. And I think you are a good person to have on this show because one of the major bullet points that I use is the Arkansas Razorbacks. If you are convinced that this coach is not your coach, then fire him. You don't have to try to stick it out and try to get your resources together and then fire him 4 games into the season. And that's what they did with Taylor. If Zach Kleiman was obviously convinced that Taylor had reached his peak, and instead of firing him, he gutted his staff and it caused a revolt and a split in the locker room that had always relied on vibes. And I don't want to rehash what happened a year and a half ago. I just think that you have not been able to rebound from what was the absolute catastrophe. There was no clean break. There was no opportunity to get the vibes back up. Honestly, what this team needs is just like a retreat. Yeah. They need their Remember the Titans moment where they and run to Gettysburg.
Have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yes, it's one of my favorite shows ever.
Season 3, where all the pundits picked them to finish last their first year back in the Premier League, where Ted took them to the sewers.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think of when you said retreat. That's what this team needs. I need
or season 1 Ted Lasso where they do the seance in the equipment room where they burn all of their prized possessions to rid the demon that causes them to get injured all the time. Like, whatever it takes, whatever.
And the first time you finally had Jamie Tart buy in to what Ted Lasso was doing, and then gets sent back to Man City the next day.
And it's a great show. It's an absolutely great. Season 1 of Ted Lasso is probably my favorite single season of a sitcom ever. Season 2 and 3 did not live up to it, but it's solid. But that's just kind of where I'm at. I don't really know how you fix the vibes on this team. It's obvious that they're not going to be like just a workman-like mentality where it's a 9 to 5. I'm going to clock in. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to go home. It's got to be the vibes are up.
I think this all started when you brought T.I. onto this ship regardless, like as an assistant. Because he was kind of handpicked by Kleiman from that moment on.
Yeah, I mean, and you have Sane was first to it on this network, and I was reluctant to buy in, but Sane was 100% right. When they brought in T.I., he was the coach, and at that point, you should have just fired Taylor.
Yeah, and at that point, too, like, you don't know how Taylor Jenkins is going to coach knowing that his replacement is sitting one chair over from him.
Yeah, it turns out he was going to be extremely petty about it and tank himself.
So therefore,
Taylor wasn't blameless in this situation.
No, he wasn't. But he wasn't blameless at all. But then again, the dumpster fire that we're trending towards right now started when you brought T.I. on the staff eventually as hey, TJ, your seat is the hottest it can be without me throwing you out the door.
No, I mean, we've taken your seat away from you. You're going to have to stand up and coach the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And you cross your arms and look at your Waffle House menu and try to figure out what the heck happened.
That's when this whole thing started. And it's been on a downhill spiral.
I agree. And outside of, running the trails to Gettysburg like they did on Remember the Titans, I don't really they're going to be in Boston tomorrow night. So maybe you can find a way to get over to Pennsylvania and find the spot where the T.C. Williams Titans decided to band together as a unit of one. But
they're in a dogfight right. They're in a dogfight right now.
Yeah, who are they playing?
Philadelphia. They're in a dogfight with Philly right now. It's 100-99. Philly up by 1 with 1:53 left.
Okay. Well, you can let me know how that ends if you so choose. I will have forgotten about that one. So
Fair enough.
the Grizzlies do lose tonight. That's all we're going to talk about the game tonight. It was just to put a nice simple bow on it. Turnovers was the issue. You got to clean up turnovers. Effort wasn't an issue. Poor shooting to start the game. Ended the game fine. The numbers look good. Major difference is turnovers and points off turnovers allowed. And so that moves us to tonight's game against the Boston Celtics. Boston's record is
5-6.
5-6.
Maybe 5-7 by the time you're watching this. Maybe 6-6.
Yeah, it could be 500. Could be 2 games under 500. It does. We'll let you know in just a minute. But this Boston team is, they traded Porzingis in the offseason. It is a team that's led by Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Both of them are really good, but there is no Jason Tatum because he is rehabbing a torn Achilles, happened in the playoffs last year. And so you kind of thought this team would take a step back. Also, no Al Horford for what that's worth. But they've been really scrappy, and I think that's kind of the thing that makes me hate the Grizzlies right now is it doesn't feel like they're scrappy. There's a lot of teams out there that's scratching and clawing their ways to wins or 500, and it's not the case for the Grizzlies. So I hate doing this again, but we've got to talk about it. We've got to ask the question. It is in podcast bylaws. You learn it in Podcast 101 when you go to college and get your degrees in podcasting.
I think you just learned that in You learned that in any broadcasting class.
Jared, I will ask you the softball question. What are you looking for tonight against the Boston Celtics?
Dadgummit, stop turning the ball over. I don't care. I don't care if we lose by 30. If we don't turn the ball over, if we turn the ball over less than 10 times, Drew, and allow less than 20 points off of said turnovers, I might be happy. I might be the happiest person after a 30-point loss to this Celtics team. But, yeah, that's not going to be happy.
I will not be happy.
I will not be happy. But
loss.
I'm saying we didn't turn the freaking ball over, which has been the Achilles heel, it feels like, for a lot of this team. And Brevin said it against Oklahoma City. When this team turns the ball over once, especially in the second and third quarters in the middle part of the game, it flurries into 4, maybe 5 more in the span of 3 more minutes. So that I just want to see them limit that, man. Like
I talked about this a lot last year about just not being able to stop runs. And that was a lot because Ja was out. But Ja was the guy that you used to be able to go to get a bucket. Like, hey, everything's not going our way. We need 2 points. We need 2 points to restart here. We've stalled out. Get us back to first gear. And Ja's going to go get an easy bucket here. And he can do that. 8 times out of 10. Jaws can go get you 2 points just on a dime whenever he wants to. And that's what we're missing. And Jaws got a shooting slump. We all know about it. It wasn't any better tonight. But you've got to figure out who's going to be your slump buster. Who's going to be able to get you out of there, whether it's Jaren on a post touch. You've got to have some. When it was the old grit and grind Grizzlies, it was 4 low, where it was just like, all right, everybody just clear out. We're going to get Zebo the ball on the block. And that's how you're going to feel good about yourself again, because you're going to get 2 points if Zebo gets the ball on the block. You've got to figure out how to stop these runs. You can't allow a 19-20 to nothing run, 20-4 run, 24-4 run when you're on the road against a really good team. It's just not something you can rebound from very often.
This should be another game where Jaren has a good night, because the Boston Celtics are starting Neemias Quetta down low.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to Google that guy.
Exactly. But this should be another game where Jaren does good. I mean, tonight should have been a game, who did we just play?
We played the New York Knicks.
The New York Knicks, there you go. A night where they don't have Mitchell Robinson. Jaren got to his spot down low several times. It's just he committed a few dumb fouls again and ended up fouling out again. But he was dominant at times. He was the only starter with a plus tonight. When he was on the floor,
really?
The Grizzlies were doing well.
That showed to me. I thought Jaren had a really good game tonight. I thought Cedric Coward probably had his worst game tonight, which honestly is overdue for a rookie. We talk crazy talk about Cedric Coward, and it is earned. It is earned credit that he's been given. And tonight was his first night where he looked like a rookie. I've got this point, and we keep going back to like the big picture things here, and I'm glad. I like talking big picture. I don't know at this point. This is kind of where I'm at. You could please talk me off this ledge. We're at the point now, like you're talking about not doing the simple things well. Like we just can't find a way to get Ja a good look, or we can't find a way to get Jaren a good look. I don't know that the additions of Zach Edey or Ty Jerome make me feel any differently about the opportunities for Ja and Jaren. Am I crazy?
No, you're not, because it's just something totally different right now. We can keep harping on. After the game last night, we can keep harping on, oh, yeah, this team's two guys back away from being good. It's a deeper-rooted issue than that. So I really can't back you off that ledge. I'll probably walk up and give you a nice little shove, then follow you down.
Well, just jump with me. How about that? Just join me.
Yeah, I'll join you. We'll hold hands and jump down the cliff together.
Please.
But yeah, no, this team's not two guys away from being better. It starts at the top, and there has to be, pardon me, there has to be some level of give a damn. And right now, yes, effort, I don't think it's a big effort problem, but overall at some point you just have to care about winning and impacting the game. Like you mentioned earlier, the scrappiness that we just have not seen from this team.
Yeah. So that's where we're going to end our Grizzlies talk. Unfortunately, I can't leave it on a better note. We're recording this after a loss at Madison Square Garden, though. So,
and the Boston Celtics will come in at 5-7.
Okay, so they're going to lose to Philly. Another team that's been surprisingly good. Is Joel Embiid still playing?
Let's
that box score up.
Yeah, do I have it up? He did not play tonight. But VJ Edgecombe had 6 points. Never mind.
Paul George.
Paul George hasn't played all season.
Okay. So
they got 22 points. They got a combined 40 points off their bench from Quentin Grimes and Justin Edwards tonight. Did the 76ers.
Wow. Okay. Well, you just got beat by the lesser team. So, all right, we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk college football. The college football playoff committee released their second rankings of the year. Yep. There was a change-up in the top 10 involving a team that I love greatly, and we will look at the corresponding poll and get Jared and my thoughts on all of that right when we come back from this break.
Why aren't there more opinions coming out as far as those two parties need to work this out?
Oftentimes, because major national media says something and a talking head may say it, people believe that it's fact. Ja's misunderstood because you are such a mega star in that city. Even if you're not wrong, or even if you're not causing a spectacle, you got to make sure that people don't have anything bad to say about you. And that comes with maturity, that comes with experience, and that comes with age. And Ja's still growing. Look at the NBA locker room. You know how much players, like teammates and coaches, fight all the time? To me, that was a non-issue. But I think because of how Ja responded, I think it was something that was probably a 2 and they made it an 8.
Yeah. How much do you think the actual suspension took it from a 2 to an 8?
I think it was needed because if you're the star player and you're acting like that, the role player wouldn't act like that. I don't know that Jaren Jackson Jr. would have acted like that.
Tune in to the Anthony Sain Show Monday through Fridays at 1 p.m. live on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel. In the heart of the Highland Strip for 27 years, Trilogy Tattoo has helped tell stories for Memphians for generations. Located at 530 South Highland, Richie and his team are waiting to help you tell yours.
From tattoos to piercings, your body art should be as unique as you are. Voted a Memphis Flyer top 3 tattoo shop in the city of Memphis since day one. Your story will be safe here at Trilogy Tattoo.
Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 11, and 3 to 11 on Sundays. They have convenient times waiting on you. Let Trilogy Tattoo help you tell your story.
I think a lot of people thought Memphis wasn't going to win this game after what they were seeing in the exhibitions.
You compound that with some of the comments and quotes and the conjecture and the think pieces and all the articles, the tweets about statements Penny Hardaway made this week about his team. And I would suspect that there was probably a little bit of of apprehension, some concerns, some all those different things about what this game was going to look like.
Right.
And thankfully they're 1-0.
You can't win every game of your season if you don't win the first one. So
Yeah.
that's not possible. You got to win the first one for that to happen. So the road to an undefeated season, Kenny, is still alive.
Tune in to Tigers Live with Francis Carlotta, live after every Memphis Tiger basketball game on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
You're muted.
I am honored. I am sorry. Thank you. Welcome back to the $2 Sports Show. I had to exit stage right here to do a little parenting in the break, so that's why I muted my mic. And so you get the full experience with Uncle Buck here tonight. So welcome back. It's the Wednesday edition of the $2 Sports Show. I am honored to have Jared Davidson to my left here. We have talked the Memphis Grizzlies' loss to the New York Knicks, as well as previewed the Boston Celtics game that is going to happen tonight. And now we're going to talk a little bit of college football. For the second time this year, the College Football Playoff Committee has released their rankings for the playoffs, the top 25 rankings, as well as the corresponding top 12 college football playoff bracket. I will let everybody in the comments guess real quick. I got a question. This is a question and answer time for the comments. My Ole Miss Rebels and Jared's Arkansas Razorbacks. One of these teams are going to be talked about in this segment. Who in the chat do you think we will be talking about? Arkansas or Ole Miss? Jared, you want to chime in? And you would be correct. It would be my Ole Miss Rebels. So I just like to throw a shot in there every once in a while. So
understandable.
I like that the College Football Playoff Committee does not release any rankings till after week 10.
I love it. I'm just glad that Arkansas still has the best play in Vaught Hemingway Stadium history.
Oh, I guess you're talking about
I'm talking about April
Wes
25th.
Golson catching the interception to beat number 1 Alabama in 2014.
Nah, 4th and 25
sure.
to keep you out of that same said SEC championship game.
Shut up, Jared. I was in that stadium. It was painful. And the fact that you can always bring this up to me means that I probably should spend less time talking to you because my exposure is too high. I'm at risk when I'm talking to you.
As an Arkansas fan, when you haven't had success since pre-motorcycle Bobby Petrino, you're numb to any kind of pain that can be thrown your way.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not feeling any pain right now. I can tell you that. It's just been an absolute train wreck, starting with Chad Morris. So let's get to the teams that matter, though. Yeah. This on your screen is the College Football Playoffs Committee's second edition of the top 25 rankings. You may have to scoot in a little bit to read this. I'm sorry, they put it long ways instead of sideways like they did last week.
So downstairs.
No change in the top 5. I can't think of any reason why it would change. Nobody showed anything or slipped up last week, but you've got Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, and Alabama and Georgia as your top 5. Ole Miss did get jumped, though, by Texas Tech, and I don't know that I really blame them. Ole Miss played the Citadel this weekend, in which they won 49-0, a military school in South Carolina, I believe.
Yep, that is FCS.
And that is FCS, and it was just an absolute bloodletting. And Texas Tech just took the Mormon cause, Joseph Smith himself, and just took him out to the woodshed and just murdered BYU this weekend in just an absolute debacle of a game for BYU. And so Texas Tech does jump Ole Miss. Rounding out the top 12 is Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas, Oklahoma, BYU, and Utah. I think that's 13, but you get what I'm saying here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So, thoughts?
Sorry, you're gonna have to. Thoughts on that? Sorry, I had to turn this off now. I have Wayno yelling in my ear.
Hey, mate.
Yeah.
G'day.
That's literally what got me almost cracked up. Anyway, so yeah, thoughts initially. I understand the Texas Tech jumping Ole Miss because, like you said, they won a ranked game over BYU. BYU dropped out. Here's where I don't have too much grievance because, like, if Ole Miss wins out, I think they snag a 5 at least. Maybe sneaks into a top 4 depending on what happens between Texas A&M and Alabama if Alabama gets there, or if A&M gets there because they still have Texas and who else is on their schedule?
Texas plays or you say who's
Texas and Texas A&M. Yeah, Texas and Texas A&M square up again, and then
Georgia.
They have South Carolina.
Oh,
Texas plays at Georgia, but I'm talking about Texas A&M.
Oh,
they have South Carolina and Texas left. They should win in the SEC. They should win that. They should win the South Carolina game. I think if they win the South Carolina game, that locks them into the championship game, no matter what happens against Texas.
Yeah,
but I mean, overall, I'm okay with it. I just have a hatred towards Notre Dame because they don't play in a conference. This is where it gets tricky because I know we're about to pull up the bracket here in a second.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna have, because like I'm always get your best 12 in, but I'm also leaning towards there should be a reward to winning your conference if you're good enough. Because like the ACC right now, their highest ranked team is Miami at what is that? Is that 15th or 16th?
That'll be 14.
14. Okay, that's the highest ranked ACC team, which means that they are going to be in the playoff. And then you have the first G5 ranked team of the season in the college football playoff at USF down here at 24. So guess who gets lapped here? Oklahoma and BYU. Which right now I think BYU should be in. Like that's my gripe, man. Like I understand we want to reward the Power 4 conference champions, but when the ACC is doing what the ACC is doing, do they even deserve a shot in the 14 playoff? Not all Power Conference champions got in.
I do believe that the conference title game has to matter.
It has to matter.
I do believe that wholeheartedly. You've got to have some sort of tie in there. And so I'm glad that they're not giving them a bye, the top 4 conference champions a bye, but you do have to put the Power 4 conference champions in there. So that's just somebody's gonna feel like they get screwed every year because of that. Yeah. And I don't think it'll be BYU because of this one game against Texas Tech. BYU is ranked 12th in their rankings, not 13th. Miami is 15th. And so BYU will not look at this rankings here and say, oh, we're out because we lost one game against Texas Tech. Yeah. Because of how the Big 12 is going to work out, they're going to have a chance, more than likely, to avenge that loss in the Big 12 championship game. And that's why I didn't mind Texas being where they're at. Yeah. Texas, who last week Texas was on bye. Yeah. But they got the benefit of a couple teams losing in front of them to bump them up in here. And Texas is as bad as they've been. They've gotten a lot of close wins, ugly wins, but they've gotten wins. And they put themselves in a position in which if they run the schedule, no one can argue with the fact that they deserve to be in because they end the schedule with 2 of their last 3 against Georgia in Athens and Texas A&M in Austin.
Right, you can throw everything out the game in rivalry, get everything out the window in rivalry games. You don't know what you're going to get. Georgia, that's a must-win for them to get in.
Everything's a must-win.
Everything's a must-win. I think Georgia can take another loss and be fine because then you wouldn't have to worry about them playing in the championship game if they even get there. But I think right now what the committee's doing is knowing Texas could take a big loss to Georgia and A&M. I think what the committee's doing right now is saying, hey, Texas right now 100% deserves to be in. And we're going to put them at that anywhere from that 9 to 12 range. And you look at it now with how, this thing is structured. The conference champions get in, and then the best G5 champion gets in. They know they're going to be lapped. As of right now, Texas is still in as it stands right now because I believe that says they're 10. But they're keeping them in that range right now to where it's like, okay, hey, we know that they've gotten, like you said, ugly wins, but if they win out, it's undeniable. We can't leave them out. But if they take one more loss, that's when you can drop them out. Because I think last week you ran into the fact of I can't remember which analyst said this on the show, but they said almost the same thing. It's like you have Texas sitting in that 11 spot, and them and Oklahoma were the first 2 out. because of Memphis getting in, and then the ACC champion at the time, Virginia, getting in, and they were okay with that, with Texas being where they are. Because guess what? They beat Oklahoma. I think they're a better team than Utah right now. BYU, yes, I think they're a better team than BYU. And then you have the head-to-head over Vanderbilt. So they're in a right spot. It's just I feel like we're all expecting the early season Texas to creep back up on them in these last 3 weeks.
Yeah, the doomsday scenario that is kind of what you just laid out. A doomsday scenario for Ole Miss is kind of what you just laid out.
Yeah,
is a way that Georgia and Texas both end up at 10-2, and Ole Miss ends up at 10-2. That's a doomsday scenario because at that point, if you're Ole Miss, you're looking at, okay, who is your big win against? And it's like, okay, on the road at Oklahoma, so you would win that tiebreak. But you wouldn't win a tiebreak against, when it comes to strength of schedule, against Georgia because they beat you head up, and Texas, who would have won against Texas A&M and against Georgia, who beat you.
Yep. So
you really need the ACC crumbling and becoming a one-bid league is good.
I think they're already a one-bid, yeah.
I think they are too, unless there's like some team that, say Georgia Tech continues with one loss and Miami beats them in the ACC championship game, something like that. It could be a two-bid league. And then the Big 12, you need them to continue to like collapse on themselves. Like as an Ole Miss fan, you're a big Texas Tech guy because you would just want them to just run it, and you don't want to see BYU be in the mix at all or anybody else out of the Big 12.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that was the end of my thought.
Oh, okay. So I'm glad you said that because I've been over here looking through the Big 12 schedules right now. Texas Tech, they're at home versus UCF before they finish the season on the road at West Virginia.
They're going to finish it with one loss.
They're going to finish
that one loss is going to be with the backup quarterback.
Yeah, the one loss is going to be with the backup quarterback on the road, I believe, at Arizona State. Yes, on the road by 4 points.
Yeah.
So they're going to finish 11-1 with one conference loss going into that conference championship game. Looking at BYU's schedule, they still have to play Cincinnati. And we saw how not only the committee, but how Vegas, I'm going to tie. Here's where I tie FanDuel into this. And you saw Vegas valued Cincinnati in that Utah game. I think they were a huge, not Utah. Yes, Utah. They were a huge underdog against Utah at home. And Utah beat the brakes off of them. If Cincinnati, and that game is at Cincinnati for BYU, if Cincinnati snags that win over BYU and gets their path into the conference championship game, and then Texas Tech wins, that ultimately turns the Big 12 into a one-bid league, in my opinion, which then, here's your doomsday scenario for Ole Miss that we talked about, opens the door for that number 5 spot in the SEC to get in.
Yeah. You would love to, as top heavy as the Ole Miss is, and as the SEC is rather, and with a potential log jam at 10-2 and 11-1 for up to 5 SEC teams, you really need these other conferences to kind of peter out. Nothing would have tickled me more than for Oregon to take that second loss against Iowa. Yeah, that would have helped out a ton. Nothing, and I mean nothing, would make me happier than see Notre Dame find a way to lose a third game. I don't think that's going to happen. They just don't really play the schedule to do it.
I'm trying to think who they have left.
But you really need the ACC and the Big 12 to be one-bid leagues. And I don't think that that's something that the committee would like. I'm not a big conspiracy guy, especially when ESPN is virtually the sole owner of all SEC broadcasts. I don't think they're going to just have a token second Big 12 team in there to spur an SEC team just to have a second one in there. But I think that everything for Ole Miss is in front of them, and that is the case with about 5 SEC teams.
Yeah, and the best team that Notre Dame has remaining is this week when they play at Pitt, and Pitt's number 22.
That's a college game day game.
It is.
That's, maybe Pitt can backyard brawl this thing, and
if Pitt wins that
awesome.
If Pitt wins that, I think that kind of solidifies the ACC as a 2-bid.
And I'll just say, I think that Ole Miss is pretty safe at 10-2, but I don't think that Ole Miss. I don't think that Ole Miss is as likely to finish 10-2 if you don't beat Florida, though. If you go beat Florida, things get extremely weird with the Lane Kiffin situation because then you just lost to Florida, and you've got a bye week before you go to Starkville. And you
know how, and
I would be sweating bullets in that rivalry.
You being an Ole Miss fan know how ticky tack and weird that game can be. I've been in the house for a few Egg Bowls in my lifetime. I have friends that go to Starkville and Ole Miss. I've been to 2 in Stark Vegas and 1 down in what I think. Granted, I hate Ole Miss, but I love going to Oxford.
It's a great college town.
It's a great college town, and so like I said, I love game day atmospheres at the Vault. But yeah, so things get weird in those games.
All right, let's. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I was going to say, if you finish 10-2, regardless if you lose one of those games, you lost your big game to Georgia, but then you lose your mulligan, as Rusty likes to call them.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're still in after the whole not getting it at 9-3 debacle last year.
Yeah. There will be a time in which I can reflect on this season. I'm not there yet because I'm still just gnashing at teeth, thinking like, oh my goodness, we could actually do this possibly, and trying to balance that with just the existential dread that is, I know somehow this team is going to end up 9-3. Like it's just love history and my own scars showing.
I love how rational you are.
Yeah.
As a fan
of
your sports teams. I love how rational you are.
Yeah, I try to be, but you know. All right,
level-headedness.
You talked about Ole Miss game day experience. Let's talk about the implied college football bracket if it were to end today. This is what it is. Ole Miss would have a home game. Tell me if I'm crazy, and I do not want to make this an Ole Miss segment. Ole Miss would host a home game against Texas and feed into Indiana. Tell me if I'm crazy for thinking this. As an Ole Miss fan, never been to a playoff.
You're the best team on that.
Love the game day environment. Am I crazy would rather want the 5 seed than the 4 seed and get a bye? I really want a home playoff game in Oxford.
No, you're not, because we saw last year how good those round 1 home environments could be.
Yeah, no. And I don't think any home team won.
No, I don't think they did. That's the crazy part. But you saw how good that they could be, and that's the crazy part.
Yeah.
But like, whether you get the 5, the 6, or the 7, don't do it. I like that.
I will.
Kenny made one today, a joke. Either I think it was here on the show earlier in the day. But anyways, I like if you can get the 5, 6, or 7, if you stay in that 5, 7 range, man. I like that draw for Ole Miss. Like you want a home college football playoff game. I think any one of those 4 teams is glad that they would have a bye. But I think if you can tell Ohio State and Alabama, and especially that the cult environment at Texas A&M, and including the rejuvenated Indiana sports program, you can tell any 4 of those teams that you get a home playoff game, they take it in a heartbeat and don't take the bowl game. So like you're not crazy for that at all. So this will be airing on Wednesday. It's your real or counterfeit segment, as it would be. It's 100% real. It's not counterfeit. Like you want a home playoff game.
I just think that would do so much just for like the home stadium. Now, for some reason, Ole Miss students and the atmosphere is getting dragged every time Lane Kiffin gets like rumored for a different job, and I just think it's wholly unfair. Ole Miss does not have the greatest stadium. It's not the loudest stadium. It's not built structurally to be loud. I wish they would bulldoze the vault and start over, but that Ole Miss has lost 1 game in the last 3 years at home. There's a real home field environment there. I want to see it in a playoff game, and you tell me that the opposing quarterback can be a Manning. Sign it in blood, brother.
It's something about a playoff environment. I do agree that the vault doesn't get loud simply because of the way it's built. There's a lot
too open. It's too not open. Up and down. Like, especially it needs to be a bowl, more of a bowl instead of a saucer.
Well, shoot, the Simmons Bank Memorial State, whatever they call it now, in Memphis, they're renovating it. It's still kind of but it gets loud. It gets loud because of its bowl structure. That's just you're lacking that bowl structure to get the
And it
reverb.
does get loud.
Oh yeah,
You're
100%.
just not. It's never going to compete for the decibel levels, which is all anybody cares about. But there's a real palpable energy there when Ole Miss is good. And so that's enough about Ole Miss. This is the bracket here. Texas Tech would be hosting Miami. Notre Dame would travel to Eugene, Oregon. And the South Florida Bulls, being the G5 representative in this poll, would travel to Athens, Georgia. And the winner of those 4 games would meet Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Alabama in the big bowls, the Rose, the Cotton, Sugar, and Fiesta, whichever the 4 are this year.
I just looked at your last home loss, and I'm not even going to bring it up.
Yeah, it's Kentucky.
Yeah, that was. I did not think
that's
it was
the one.
Kentucky. I thought that was on the road when y'all lost to them.
No, that was at home, 11 o'clock. It's bad day. We were at a wedding in Florida, a beautiful wedding, beachside. My wife was in it, and the bride's family had rented this beautiful beachside mansion, basically all glass, what you would see in HGTV in Navarre Beach, Florida. And my wife went to Ole Miss, and all of her friends are Ole Miss fans. Mm-hmm. And we sat in the room as the bride is getting ready and watching the Ole Miss game with us, lose to Kentucky. And Haley just looks at me and she's like, "You're going to let this ruin the whole day, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yep. I'm going to go take a nap." She's like, "We're at the beach. No kids." And I was like, "I'm sorry. I need a nap."
Man.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But here's the playoff poll. Here's the playoff bracket. Listen, this is going to change. We've got 3 more weeks of college football. I will make the passionate plea to everybody again. You've only got 3 weeks. I don't care if you look at the schedule and think that, this week isn't as good as the other weeks. Like, I don't care, guys. 3 weeks, lock in. Just forget the beef that you've got with ESPN and YouTube TV. Find a way to watch this football without subscribing to ESPN. Go borrow a login. Don't feed the beast that is ESPN. Go bum a login from somebody. So do whatever you got to do. Go to the local sports bar, wing joint. Watch football. You've only got 3 more regular season opportunities to do so.
Yeah, you do. And I will say the first 2 college football playoff brackets, I have brought in the last few years, especially, I've mostly agreed with majority of it and where everyone's placed, honestly. In the past few years, I'll look at certain aspects of it and look at certain teams like, okay, why is a Texas A&M still here? Why is a Clemson still sitting here at an 11 or a 12? Apart from just based on who Notre Dame plays and them being at 9, I like this right now. Like, I have no real qualms.
I don't think that they've really got much room to screw up right now. Just based on the teams that are here. The only one that you can really say have had, you've got a bad taste in your mouth over is like Notre Dame was 0-2, but those 2 losses were to the team that's currently number 3 and the team that's currently number 11. Yep. And then Miami, who's the number 11 team. But, if you're going to win that paltry conference that is the ACC, you're going to get in. So you're going to get those. But there's really nothing really here to screw up, in my opinion. I don't think anybody really has a beef. The 2 teams missing out right now are BYU and Oklahoma, and I don't think anybody, if you are an Oklahoma fan, can look at this and be like, well, who do I take out? Well, it can't be Texas. It's the next one up, and they beat us. It can't be Notre Dame. There's just not much room for argument here.
No, there's something just made a very weird noise in my room, and it kind of scared me. Yeah, no, it was one of those like lower, like pitched, like it was like a lower high pitched noise, which terrified me. Anyways,
lower high pitched.
So like it wasn't
make sense.
It wasn't loud, but like it felt like it could make the ears ring. Yeah, kind of like that. Anyways, just you look at it right now, it's going to change a lot. Where people really start getting mad is if this turns into a nightmare doomsday scenario where Pitt, BYU, and Texas Tech are all sitting at one loss
Yeah.
going into conference championship weekend.
Yeah.
Same thing with the ACC if things shake out that way. And then possibly, you could possibly have like Texas win out, Ole Miss win out, Georgia with 2 losses, Bama winning out, A&M with 1 loss. There's 5 teams right there with one or with 2 or less losses.
You're going to find out if there's a quota of how many teams from a single conference they are willing to put in that scenario.
Because this
is ripe for the everybody who hates the SEC to say SEC bias, just because the ACC and Big 12 have just totally imploded on itself.
Yep. And like I said, we could end up with 5 SEC teams in, and I think people would be okay with that, looking at how the ACC finished and how the Big 12 finished. But there's a real world where we go into conference championship weekend and we have a doomsday scenario. That's when people start getting real grimy about how this all went out. Ooh, we got a good game between Memphis and Ole Miss right now with 2:03 left.
We need to wrap this up, bro.
Yeah, we do. But it's a 4-point game with 2 minutes left. But yeah, this could get real slimy. But right now, I think they've done a great job in the first 2 weeks.
So I appreciate everybody for tuning into the $2 Sports Show Wednesday edition of the show. I appreciate Jared joining me today. I appreciate Kenny joining me multiple times this week. Gabe Kuhn joined me and just was able to call the bullpen, and everybody showed up, was willing to. So grateful to all of our co-podcasters in this Bluff City Media podcast company to help me as my co-host has been celebrating his better half, and I mean truly 100% better half, on her big milestone birthday in Boston and New York this week. So he will be back with me tomorrow, joining me in all of his glory, and which is not much, but it is all of his glory that he possesses. He'll be back with me on Thursday edition of the show. So appreciate you, Jared. Appreciate everybody for joining in. And until tomorrow, we are out. Smile for the camera, Jared.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. We'll see you back here next time.